Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. Hey, this is George Edmondson with Seed Creative, and today's special guest is Nicholas Coker.
That's me.
Hi, Nicholas Coker. Something is already different about you. I can't really put my finger on it.
I mean, I think I've just brought something new to the studio. I think that's what you're feeling.
I think so too. Well, I'm really excited to introduce Nicholas Coker. He is the newest addition to the Seed Creative team, and you definitely bring something new to the table, my friend. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little too animated at the moment. So
I feel that.
So I think I'm gonna let's try something. All right, here we go. All right, much better.
That's better, yeah.
Okay, so now we get to actually see what you look like.
Yeah.
He looks exactly the same as his cartoon character.
1-to-1, yeah.
Oh, the beard and the glasses and the New York shirt, it all matches.
Right.
Yeah, so this is Nicholas Coker, and Coker comes to us fresh. I mean, he is green, fresh meat. He started 4 days ago.
Yeah.
4 days ago. All right, so before we start getting deep, just tell me in a nutshell, who is Nicholas Coker? Where do you come from? And why are you here? Why are you at Seed Creative?
Why am I here? Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. Here at Seed, we operate out of Tuscaloosa. Birmingham's about 45 minutes to an hour to our east, but that's where I was born and raised. And growing up, I started to really fall in love with movies. And my first foray into filmmaking was I got some Legos, did some little stop motion animation with them and put them on YouTube, and that's how I always credit that as how I got started. But was doing that as a kid, and then got more into it as I got older, and then I came here to Tuscaloosa to the University of Alabama, studied telecommunication and film there, and while I was there, learned a lot and made a couple films of my own. One of them just went public online. It's Drawn to Campus. That one is a little mockumentary about, he's the university's first animated student is the concept. And so he's a little animated guy, and he's living in the real world. And so he's talking about his life on campus. Like I said, that's online, so please check it out. Other one I made after that was called Night of the Living Date, and it is a little horror comedy sort of thing. This woman needs a date for her dinner party, and so she brings a zombie because the zombie epidemic just happens to be going on while they're having this dinner party. And so, of course, you can imagine how that goes. That one's going to be going live very soon for the Halloween season, which I'm very excited about. And then I've got another one in the works since I have graduated, called The First Man, and it's going to be a little caveman sort of thing. But outside of that narrative film world, my specialty is motion graphics and animation. I love being on set, but I love doing the bookends of video production. I love writing scripts and coming up with those kind of things, doing storyboards. And then, of course, I love to do illustrations and animations. I do a lot of video editing, and I'll be doing a lot of that here at Seed. And that's why I'm here. I've been doing contract work for Seed for, I don't know how long at this point, but pretty good amount of time.
Close to a year, maybe?
Yeah,
probably.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always enjoyed working with the Seed team. And so George called me a couple weeks ago, and he said, hey, let's do it. We'd love to have you. And so I said, I'd love to be there.
All right, yeah, dude, that's awesome. So, I don't even remember, and you actually reminded me the other day. So you said that we've been kind of working together very, just on and off for about a year, maybe a little over a year. How did you even find Seed Creative? Because I will say, I don't think that I ever, I didn't reach out to you or anything. You just kind of sought us out, and then now look what has happened a year later. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy. So what is that story?
Yeah, so I graduated from the university about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And at that point, I was just freelancing and just looking for anything and everything to do. I knew I wanted to stay here in the Southeast Alabama area. And I was talking to a good buddy of mine who lives here in Tuscaloosa. He said, there's this place called Seed Creative. You should check out. They're doing some really cool things. They're right here in Tuscaloosa. It's really nice folks. They might be able to set you up with an internship or something. So I said, I'll give it a try. So I just sent you a cold email that was just like, here I am. This is what I do.
This is who I am.
That's exactly what it said. I put the sheet music in there and everything. I put my films in there and just told you what I was looking for, what I wanted to do. And I remember I think you replied to it something like, hey man, great to hear from you. Would love to connect. We're pretty busy this week. Send me an email next week and let's see what we can do. And so I did that. I followed up the next week, and you said, "Come on down to the studio," and I did. And that was the older studio, of course, and
Right.
it was much smaller, but I was still very impressed. And I remember the first thing we did. We decided it that day. You were like, come on this shoot with us. Just see what you think. We'll see what you can do. And it was this paintball shoot. It was for Motion VFX, and it was a lot of fun. We were out there at this paintball place shooting George.
Yeah, dude.
So in more ways than one.
I was so terrified too. So that's funny that you mentioned that because I had actually, so much goes on. I had forgotten that you even went on that shoot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he did go on that shoot. Yeah, and that was a good one to go on because you got to see really quickly, Seed, we do things that are not expected a lot of times.
Yeah,
you wouldn't expect for, your first day to literally be shooting the guy that runs the company.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was, dude, that was so much fun. I was immediately impressed with you though, going back just a bit on the fact that you actually followed up. Now, I've talked about this before in other podcasts, but something that I find very important in dealing with people, and especially in dealing with people that I know that I may be working with in one way or another, is to know that they're consistent and to know that they're in it for the long haul. And I know that 1 week, 2 weeks isn't long haul mentality, but to some people it is, because some people that call me, they want an immediate, yes, we're hiring.
Right.
When can you start? Dude, we get called. You were in the truck literally an hour ago.
Yeah.
I get calls constantly, and I typically tell them the same thing, which is what I told this young man that I talked to earlier. And ironically, if he ends up starting to work for us, we can go back and listen to this. Because you never know. Who knows? I didn't know you'd be working for us, and here you are. But I told him the same thing. I said, right now, a lot going on. Call me back in 2 weeks. Let's see if he does it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Most people don't. Most people that I say that to never hear from them again. And that is a pure indicator as to why, if you're not even going to invest the thought, the brain power into putting a note in your phone to follow back up, it's not a mean thing. It's just this isn't going to work. You're not going to be someone that I think would be a good fit.
It's something that you have to be prepared for, and you have to be used to doing in this world, because that's reality a lot of the times, whether it's a client, whether it's someone else, wherever you're working. We've all got 101 things going on, so you got to have that sort of follow-up attitude. And I wasn't too surprised to hear it from you. And I think a lot of people maybe take it as maybe a low-key way to say, no thanks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not how I interpreted it. So
I've told people just no before.
Yeah.
So, maybe, I don't know, if you're listening to this and you've thought about it, I will just say no if there's red flags that pop up, or logistically it would be a nightmare to work with you. That's just, there's a reality to it, and it's not harsh or mean. It's just, this is I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. We can be friends, not a big deal, but from a working relationship, there are some things that I have, I guess, strategically put in place without even realizing that I did it until I had done it so much. I was like, every time someone calls me, I tell them to call me back in 2 weeks or a month. oh, I guess that's a thing I do because I want to gauge and see if they're going to actually do it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I meant to do that. You know what I mean? But no, back to what you were saying. It is absolutely necessary in this industry, especially in a creative industry, because you can't, sometimes you can put like a time constraint on the work that we do, but then other times you can't. And the client is just like, oh, they're working on it. But then you're sitting here like, why hasn't the client called me back? We've been done with this for weeks.
Yeah.
You have to always be reaching out, following up, and saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, just reminding you the ball is in your court now. We sent you a draft. That means you need to follow up and respond to us and let us know how it's going.
Right.
And they say, oh, I'm sorry. I meant to send that email and I forgot. Here you go. And that's how we can continue flowing and moving, because it can become still water very quickly if you aren't continually reaching out to those clients, reaching out to people, individuals, thinking creatively, stuff like that. So you mentioned that you went to the University of Alabama and that you graduated. I don't know, you might have, but I don't know if you mentioned when that happened. So tell the people that are listening and the people that are watching, because, and you're not going to get offended by this, you know this, but it's hard sometimes to know how old you are, because you don't speak like someone of your age, and you definitely, you look older than I think that some people might think. So how old are you?
I just turned 24 on
Monday.
Yeah.
And guess when he started?
Monday.
So his birthday, he got to come in and start working at Seed. What a gift I've given you.
It was the greatest birthday gift that there ever was, honestly.
No, I'm messing with you.
No, I mean, in all honesty, though, I got here a little earlier than George, and I was taking some pictures and doing some FaceTime just of how cool the office and studio was, sending it to people. And that's exactly what they were saying. They were like, that's the best gift. And I was like, yeah.
That's so funny, dude. By the way, if you're watching and I keep looking over, it's because we have someone renting our psych wall right now, and he's over here being super quiet and respectful. We appreciate it. Chris Crawford, he's over here dancing behind some tires. So filming some tires today on the psych wall. But this is why, last week you heard in the podcast, we talked about building a creative space. And we went both literally and figuratively building a creative space. But this is why we did it, so that, the psych wall is being used. We're getting a podcast done. If any of the other guys were here, a couple of them have off today, but they'd be over here editing. We built this space intentional to be able to be multifunctional, multi-purposed all at one time. But then we also talked about building a creative space like Headspace, and building, like, creating an environment that, that encourages creativity. You've only been here for less than a week, but I want you to explain maybe to the people listening, or honestly, I would just like to hear it just so I know how I'm doing. Like, how have you felt working with Seed, this week? What are your thoughts on the culture, the environment, stuff like that?
Yeah, so, I mean, I can already vouch for what you were saying about having this multifunctional creative space where we can have things going on at the same time. I mean, I experienced that this morning. I was over there working at the computer, getting this editing and these graphics done for this video. And Nick Golden was here and was working on something. I didn't know what, but I was like, oh, he's here somewhere. And then later on, I finished. I said, okay, do we need to unload the van from the shoot yesterday? And George was like, no, Nick Golden already did it. And so, we were both in our own spaces getting that work done. And so I can already, speak to how well designed this space is for that. And I do think it's one that fosters so much creativity. Just the fact that we have these lovely windows that we can look outside and, have a great space where we can walk around, take a break, have a snack, just kind of think things over, and where I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah,
it's really nice. And so, yeah, I've felt more creative at the end of this week, just having worked here for these few days.
What have you done? So describe to us your Monday, your Tuesday, your Wednesday, your Thursday, and your today.
Yeah. So let's see. Monday, I came in and there was this project I was already working on, and that's kind of been the bulk of this week. It was something I was doing by contract for y'all, and am I allowed to say client names?
Yeah,
or anything?
Mammut.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's for a group called Mammut, and they are a heavy lifting company, and they did this thing where they took this pre-constructed, it was already built, airport walkway, and they trucked it from wherever it was being built down the runway into the airport and lifted it into place. Kind of an unusual but interesting story, and George gave that to me. So that video follows that process and explains some things technically, but also just kind of gives you a general idea of what it was done. I think they're using it they're nominated for some sort of award.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's showcasing it for the people who are judging for that award. And so that's what I've mainly been working on. So I came in on Monday, kept working on that. Got to do a little bit of, let's see, what do we do on Monday? I remember I got my picture taken. I do remember that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. And I got my my Seed t-shirt going. That was also the day that George came up to me and he said, how hard would it be to South Park us? And I said, probably not that hard. I said, what for? His words, so wise, I'll never forget him. He said, just 'cause. And I said, all right, cool, let's do it. He's like, we'll work it into the podcast. We'll say that. And he came up with that sketch kind of on the spot. I've been working on that. And then since I'm still living in Birmingham, I work from home Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's what I was doing. Tuesday was working on Mammut some more at my house. Then came back in Wednesday and we got back to work. Now, yesterday was a very exciting day.
It was.
That's
what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. It was something I felt very honored and privileged to get to do just on my first week. It's this project we're doing with Red Sky Studios.
Right.
Shooting, it's a documentary, right? And
it's a documentary. It's kind of like a where you show shots like this is how it would have happened.
Yeah.
Reenactment. There you go.
Yeah,
boom.
dramatizations.
Yeah, so it's like a historical reenactment documentary for one of their clients. And so we're kind of they're telling the story of how this company got started and stuff like that. And so and that was a huge set. It was amazing.
And I came in and George and Gavin were talking about that. My first couple days, and they were trying to tell me like, dude, this is huge.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh man, I want to go. So I was asking George on Wednesday, I think that's something I could go to. He calls the guy in charge. He's like, yeah, he can come there. Just as long as he's working.
Right.
He has to be working. I said, I can do that. And it worked out pretty perfectly because Jacob wasn't able to make it, unfortunately. So I got to kind of, pick up that slack. But yeah, I can tell you, I was like, all right, this is going to be big and exciting. And I came in with the idea of like, oh, I know how a set works.
Yeah.
I've done that. I'll be right at home. And I get there and, there's just a few people there as we're starting out. And they're like, all right, let's get to work. And boom, it's just like we hit the ground running and there's so much going on just all of a sudden. We're opening up our van and getting stuff out. We're opening up this huge trailer they have that's full of gear, so much of which I've never used before. And I'm like, oh, crap. I realized my greenness, as you put it. In that moment, I said, oh, boy, I got to step up to the plate here. So I was pretty intimidated at first. And I told George that when we broke for lunch. He was like, how you doing? I said, well, at first I was a little intimidated. And you said, good, you should be.
Yeah.
And so, but as the day went on, I got, into the groove of it, I think. I learned that when you're in the role that I was in, which is, I guess, basically just a production assistant, your job is basically just walk up to whomever and just be like, what can I do for you?
Right.
What can I do in this moment? And it's as simple as that. And then occasionally we get to, have a moment of peace where we can just watch what y'all are shooting and learn stuff. But everyone there was super nice, which very much helped, they were very patient with me, with not knowing how to use all the gear, and they were able to show me how to do it, very kindly, and so I mean it was an amazing first set experience, and I told you that day that what I was really trying to do was just kind of learn the ins and outs of how such a big set works,
Right.
and then also watch those people in those leadership positions that I would like to someday have.
Yep.
So doing a lot of watching the gaffer, which that's what I mainly worked with, was gaffing and lighting team. So watching him and seeing how he would just how he would watch y'all, determine what y'all are getting, and then prep that before y'all were even ready to go.
Yeah.
And so, he'd say, we need this, we need this, we need this. We'd go grab it, we'd set it up, and then boom, y'all are ready with the shot. And then we just have to do these little adjustments after that. Doing a lot of watching you and the other DP and, kind of knowing what to have in mind based on the script, the storyboard, and what the director's telling you, and how y'all, everyone being one step ahead was a big thing. And then, of course, I watched, the director a lot because, like I said, that's where I want to be. And, getting to watch him, how he handled all that stuff, how he kept his peace, and how he just managed everything. Because I remember there was one scene / shot where this character is getting off of a train. It's a busy train station, and the train is smoking. And in this one shot, he's directing this lead actor. He's directing a whole cast of extras, one of whom is a 3-year-old child.
Probably younger than that.
Yeah.
Like 1.5, 2 years old. So she was very young.
Very young child. Directing all those people, directing the camera, of course, which was on a jib for that shot, and also directing the guy who is working the smoke machine
behind the train.
Yeah. So he's directing all these moving parts at once. And I mean, I watch scenes in movies where there's so much going on like that, and I'm like, man, how do you direct all that stuff? And I got to watch him do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it seemed like the main thing was just keeping his peace, just saying, we will maintain control. And he did a lot of delegation, which was a big part of it. But yeah, I'm just an incredible experience. I'm so grateful that I was able to be there for it. I'm looking forward to, the next things we get to do.
Michael, if you listen to this, Michael was the director, and I'm so sorry. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. It's probably easy, but we'll try to put it in the description in the YouTube video. But Michael, dude, hats off. I noticed that too. That scene was by far the hardest scene we had done for the whole 3 days of filming that we were doing for this. And, there were obstacles to overcome in those moments because there's so much going on. Of course, the cue might not be right, the smoke doesn't come on at the right time, or the wind wafts it up, or a police car drives through the background of what's supposed to be like the early 1900s, like these things kept happening, and Michael was able to just, all right, we're going to do it again. And we did it over and over, and we finally got like those 3 or 4 like really solid, like, okay, we can work with this takes. And then we're like, all right, next scene. You know what I mean? And I was very impressed with that too. I was also impressed with you because I told my wife when I came back, and what I was impressed with might not be what you're expecting. What I was impressed with, of course, I was impressed with the fact that you were like, all right, let's do this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go start pulling crap out of this trailer and setting it up and figuring it out. That was impressive, yes. But I told Christy, I said, what's funny is he said what I wouldn't have expected him to say, which of all the things going on, of all the people that I usually associate with, which is the camera guy, the guy that's cared about the visuals, and yes, I care about the story, but like I said, Nicholas said, I was really watching the director and how he was managing people, and I was like, wow, like that, because most other people go into it for I want to be behind the camera, I want to be, you know what I mean? And I think that you do have a passion there as well, but it's obvious to me that your role at Seed, while currently it is what it is also to eventually be in those higher leadership positions. I can say that already, and you've only been here for 5 days. And it's because of things like that, because of like you're invested in learning and getting better and being more knowledgeable, and you're focused on the people in charge. You know what I mean? You're helping the people that are, under that leadership, but your eyes are looking to that's the top and that's where I want to be. And once you have, I think it's really important that you always need to start from the bottom and work your way up. And you had no issues coming in and saying, okay, I'm a PA. That's cool. I'm excited to be here and I want to learn. You know what I mean? And so I think that, it's important for people that are listening to understand that, like, when you go into this industry, you're going to start off small. You're not going to start off where all these YouTubers are and where they've got all this gear. It's like, dude, yeah, well, they've also been doing it. My God, Peter McKinnon's been doing this for like, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, something like that, maybe longer. Like, you don't start off there. You start off, in the roles that you were, but always look ahead, always be planning to grow. And I think that you demonstrated that just in that statement. And those are the things that I pick up on that really impress me. It also was impressive that I came up to you and said, can we do South Park characters? And you said, why? And I said, I don't know, because it's fun. And you were like, okay, cool, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, sometimes we don't have a reason for this stuff sometimes.
Exactly.
We just do it for fun. Mm-hmm. Who cares?
And you have shared with me that, like, that is rewarding more so than you think.
Oh, bro.
I mean, that's the reason we have the red camera, and, our friend here today who's, working with the psych wall, has been telling us about how, he saw the goofy videos we did, and, that's the first thing he saw that made him want to reach out to us. And, so, I'm a big believer that, that stuff is good, not just because it's what reaches people. That's, kind of a main thing, but anything where you can really be invested in.
Yes.
And anything you're doing for fun is going to be that. That's going to be some of your best work, really.
Oh yeah, hands down. The documentary that we did, that we've made it. It's like a joke at this point. We always talk about the documentary and how it won an Emmy in every episode.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's just because it's like so. Anyway,
yeah.
Just get used to it. We talk about it in every episode, and probably will until we stop this podcast. But there is a reason to go into that. That documentary was not originally funded to be as big as it was. It was kind of like, we'll do a couple interviews, we'll show the artwork, done. And I became so in love with the story and with how things were unfolding. I was like, we're just gonna do it on our own. I mean, we had the financial backing to a point, but that honestly ran out relatively quickly. And I just said, dude, like, I believe in this story and I think that it could do something. So we're just going to keep doing it. And we're going to figure it out and make it work. And we're going to pull from Seed's cash flow to make that happen, which is what we did. The client ended up very quickly realizing that, without us ever bringing this up, because I was like, you know what, we signed a deal. This is the amount that was allotted. We're good. The client, and I don't know if I've shared this story publicly, but the client came to us and, several of them, they watched the video. There were tears, because this is something that these people have been working on for 7 years or something like that. We came in on the last, 1 year of it. And the director looked at me with tears in her eyes and she said, I know that you have done more work than what was expected of you. And I was just like, yes, ma'am, we have. And she said, well, we have found that, like, there is something here that you saw that maybe we didn't see. And the way that you've structured this, we want to back pay the amount that you've done. And we've got this other, money. And it was all, the good thing is it was all there. Like, they didn't pull it from nowhere. They had budgeted, like, marketing money and all these things. And so they just allocated some of those funds to put more than was initially, thought about into the documentary, because they knew it would be good for them. And again, it was marketing money they already had. So they back paid for that time, and they said, and we want to do an additional, sum of money because we want more interviews and more of this animation that you've done because we love it so much. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. So we recouped all the time, all the money. We got more. We got to, and because I had to prove I'm invested in this story, even more than y'all are right now. You know what I mean? I know that it's going somewhere. And so, and it was just fun. I love documentary. That's probably my passion. Some people are passionate about social media or commercials. Some people are passionate about the narrative side of feature films or short films. I think that my true passion is raw documentary. You're showing up with a camera and a microphone and maybe a light or two, and you're capturing the realness of a situation. And so, yeah, dude, that was so much fun, man. And we were able to do it all because we just wanted to, you know what I mean? So to tie that back in, that was a very long way to go around to the fact that you said, just that sometimes it could be more valuable, more profitable when you're doing something that's just fun or that you believe in. 100% agree. And I started Seed Creative, out because I knew that I didn't want to work at the place I was working at anymore. Not because I didn't like that place, but just I wanted a different path for myself, but also because it's just fun.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So we just did it. I'm glad we did. So,
I'm glad you did too.
Yeah. All right, dude. So I'm, again, thank you, Nicholas. I'm so stoked that that you're part of the team. And I think that it'd be a lot of fun to end on a funny high note. Let's go back to the original, let's South Park me. I'm ready.
Well, you see, George, I think I can become a South Park character again. But yeah, I don't know about you. I think you've already crossed out of that mental territory.
But I want just South Park me. Go.
I don't think it's going to happen, George.
You've South Parked yourself, and you won't South Park me.
Sorry,
You're
man.
Fired. I'm just kidding. He's not fired. Nicholas is awesome, and we're so excited to have a South Park character on the team. So, again, thank you for checking out this podcast. We hope that you found some value in it. We've definitely found a lot of value already in bringing Nicholas on. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It's not even the fact that he brings, an incredible value from a work perspective, but he's a good person. You're a good person, and those are the kind of people that I want to work with. If you can't tell already. So anyway, with that said, we're out. Subscribe, like, comment, do all those things. Let us know. Let us know if you want to become a South Park character, and then you can hire us to do it. I'm just kidding. All right, we're out of here. See ya. Peace. This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.